All right. And so we are talking in these final two chapters about everything that is new. Okay. Like at this point, oops, sorry guys. At this point, everything is gone that is evil. Okay. Nothing remains. Not in a distant universe, not in a pocket, not in another dimension. Like nothing remains that is evil at the time of the third heaven and the third earth age, eon in the Greek. Okay. So we see when Christ and God and the Holy Spirit are all together in one place, evil's gone because God cannot dwell anywhere where there is evil around because he'll kill it, honestly. And eternity is a reward for people who choose life. So anybody who chooses death is not getting it. It's very simple. Okay. So John, let's just get into it. Revelation 21:1. And I, John, saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. Now, again, if you've read Second Peter, you know it's actually the second earth and the second waters and the second heaven that have passed away. Okay, because we had the earth that was, the earth that is, which we're living in now, but at the time of Revelation 21, it'll be the earth that was. And then we have the earth and heaven that are to come, but in the time of Revelation 21, it will be the earth that is. Okay. So there's no more sea because there's no more, well, two levels, right? There's no more people in the flesh as we knew them. We still have multitudes, but they're in their spiritual body. They're in their eternal body with their eternal soul. But also, there's no more water on the earth. The globe, the earth, the terra firma used to be a garden. In the time of the dinosaurs, before the earth that was, the first earth that was, that the dinosaurs roamed on, was a garden. It was a botanical garden that the Lord delighted in. It's why the Garden of Eden was made after it. Gardens factor very heavily into biblical theology and symbology. Garden of Gethsemane, right? There's a great song by Elevation Worship that graves into gardens. That's what God does. He turns graves into gardens. But at one point, he turned a garden into a grave. The first earth that was a garden. There was no water on it. That was for us because we needed it in this time. So we have plenty of evidence of mammoths that had buttercups in their mouth because there was no water, there was no Arctic. Okay, so we are not even fully prepared for the level of rejuvenation that is going to come when we are done with evil here. We have not seen the full majesty and glory of God ever. This is not it. Okay, this is not it. This is wonderful. Creation is beautiful. It is dull compared to what God has in store for us. And John saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. Now, again, this city is the wife of God. The people are the bride of the Lamb. Okay, so God married Jerusalem back in the Old Testament. We know because in Jeremiah 3, he tells Jeremiah, I'm about to grant Jerusalem a bill of divorcement. Well, you can't grant a bill of divorcement if you've never been married. So God was married to Jerusalem, to the land. This is his favorite place on the entire universe, the entire cosmos that he's created. Cosmos is universe in the Greek. So if you really want to just try to understand how much God loves this area, he married it. And he's going to reestablish it, reaffirm it, restore it, renew it, rejuvenate it, right? And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them and be their God. This has always been, Yahweh Shemot has always been the goal of the Father. He has always wanted to dwell among the people. He has always wanted them to be holy enough for them to be his people and for him to be their God. This is a pervasive theme in the entire text, and it is a pervasive theme throughout all eternity and reality, okay? God wants to be with his people. It's not new. And so, finally, in this time, he can be. Because these are the people who have chosen him. These are the people who are counted worthy to be with him. They're in the book of life. They have good works. They want to be close to God, and he wants to be close to them. We have gotten rid of all the people who don't want that. See you, bye. Didn't want you. You didn't want us. No point in hanging around. And the tabernacle of God has always been the place where his spirit has dwelled. In the Old Testament, the tabernacle was where his indwelling was, and now we are the tabernacle and the temple of the Father. It's very important that we understand that. The temple houses the tabernacle. The tabernacle is where the Father dwells. So in this Revelation 21 and 22, we're going to get descriptions of the tabernacle, of the temple, of the city, because really, like, God is the city. God is the temple. The city is the temple. It's a whole elevated scale. It's like this, the city of Jerusalem is the temple and the tabernacle. I guess that's the best way to put it. They're all in one. There's no need for separation. There's no need for division. So people will be coming to the city of Jerusalem to see God like a temple, like the tabernacle. And yes, you will see that we have cities even in the third earth age and heaven age. We have kings and the queens of the ethnos who come over the mountains to worship Yahweh. We will still have people look the same in their spiritual bodies as they do in their flesh bodies. I will look like me, probably very much like this, because the 30s are about the time of maturation. So that's we all look like we're perpetually in our 30s. So you'll see me in the eternity looking like this. Okay? And so we look the same, which means we have multi-ethnic family, because that's how God wanted it. He created it that way. It wasn't an oopsie. It wasn't a genetic mutation. God intentionally created on day 6, darker skinned, darker eyed people. And on day 8, lighter skinned, lighter eyed people. And he wanted them all. And it was good, very good. And he said, go recreate and multiply. And that is why that is what we have now, even 6,000 years later. Because when you set something in motion in the way you want it to go, it's going to perpetuate. What about Noah's Ark? 2 of every flesh was on the ark. 2 of every flesh was on the ark. 2 of every flesh was on the ark. The races that existed then were on the ark. The Kenites, which existed then, were on the ark. There were only, there were only so many Adamic souls on the ark. That's okay. So, getting back to the city is going to be the place for people to come and worship Yahweh. It's where he's going to dwell. And that's what he's always wanted. And he will be with men, and he will be our God, and we will be his people. Very simple. And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow, neither crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. Like I keep telling you guys, my beliefs don't exist outside of the Bible. So when I say all the evil's out of the world, it's because Revelation 21:4 tells us all the evil is out of the world. This is why hell, death, Satan were all cast into the eternal lake of fire back in Revelation 20. There's no place for them in the eternity. You cannot have no sorrow and also have grandma frying for eternity. Not going to happen. Not how God operates. Okay? Because we serve a God of mercy. Quick annihilation is a mercy compared to everlasting torment. And our Father is not the one for it. He is merciful. So everything that was of Satan is absolutely eradicated. It is gone. It cannot be here for God to make a promise like that. And our Father's not a liar. So anybody who tries to tell you anybody's eternally burning in hell did not read Revelation 21:4. That is not to say there is not an eternal punishment. There is. If you go along with Satan, you will be eternally eradicated. The smoke will go up forever and ever, meaning that it's an Hebraism, meaning that it is eternally done. In the same way that something evaporates and it's gone. Think about a candle being snuffed out. Think about a candle being snuffed out. When the light goes out, the smoke goes up until it's gone. That's the Hebraism. That's the image I want you to get. Snuffed out. People will be uncreated. Memories gone. They never existed in the first place. Which is why we have no sorrow in heaven and no sorrow on earth. You're married to the Lamb. The former things are irrelevant to you. You're like, I could never love anybody more than my unbelieving daughter. Yes, you could. You will love the Lamb more than you could ever love your daughter. I guarantee it. Like, how is that possible? Because he is love. He sees you and accepts you and knows you and wants you just as you are. That kind of a love is so pervasive and so attractive. I promise this is why every single person who's ever met Jesus in a near-death experience did not want to come back. There's no draw on earth that compares to the closeness to the Messiah in heaven. There's none. We will not be sad when we are with him. No matter who decides to take in the mark of the beast, we will not be sad. There's no sadness to come. And that's good because there's been a lot of sorrow here. This is the saddest we'll ever be. That's such a blessing. If you hold on to the promise in Revelation 21:4, the sadness you experience on this earth will be the saddest you ever are. And that's a beautiful thing. Which is the promise of choosing life with Christ. Please do it. I'm begging. And he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, Write, for these words are true and faithful. Right? The one that sits on the throne is God. God sits on the throne. We looked at that in Revelation 4 and 5. His presence sits on the throne. And he's got a book in his hand in Revelation 4 and 5. Here he's saying that I will make all things new. When God says he will make all things new, that is not to be underestimated. We can't even contemplate what he means by making things new. He is a creator who's always making new things all the time. The creator must create. Therefore, he will be creating new things even then. And the words true and faithful are the same ones that are used in Revelation 19:11. I saw heaven open, behold the white horse, he that sat upon him was called faithful and true. It's the same. This is a faithful, true. You can take this to the bank. God's not kidding when he says it. Take it to the bank. And he said to me, It is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely. We'll hear more about this fountain, this river of life. We will hear more about this in Revelation 22, actually. Revelation 22:1. You can make a note of that because we have the thing that we need spiritually is Christ. The thing that we need in our spiritual bodies for nourishment and sustenance, also Christ. But there is some level of substance that is partaken, right? Manna was angels' food. Now, again, manna literally means in the Hebrew, what is that? It's like they saw this stuff coming from the sky and they're like, what is that? Manna. That's the name. Manna means what is that? They didn't know what it was. Now, spiritual bodies, angelic spiritual bodies are compatible with human food. And again, we see that in Genesis 18. And angelic spiritual flesh bodies, are compatible with angelic food. And we see that in the Exodus. We see that when God sustains them in the wilderness for 40 years. Okay, so There are comparative similarities between these bodies that are flesh and the spiritual bodies that we're going to get and that we've already seen. Okay? We saw Jesus's transfigured body in the Gospels. We saw Elijah be taken up. Right? So the fountain of the water of life is, of course, spiritual. It's a spiritual reference. You will always be able to come to Christ. And of course, because you're his wife, you're his bride. The bride is always able to get in touch with her husband. That's how it's supposed to be. If I'm a wife, I should be able to get in touch with my husband. And if I can't, then there's something that might be wrong. Right? So we'll hear more about this fountain of water. Now, this is again a little bit why these chapters are kind of tough, because there is a lot of room for questions and for speculation, right? Like, I'm like, well, what nourishment will our spiritual bodies need? They had manna. How does the cleansing out of the process work, right? Because I highly doubt we're gonna have toilets. I highly doubt we're gonna have the same kind of like liquids. You know what I mean? We're not gonna have blood, probably. We're not gonna have these things that we have now. So like, how, God? And I will tell you, these are why these questions that I have are why Revelation 21 and 22 are a little bit less concrete for me to teach, because they are future. I will find out. I do not know. There's almost no point to ask, but also I can't help myself because I'm curious and I want to know. And also I will find out. So we just have to wait on God's time, right? Wait on God's time. And so when he comes, it will be better than it is now. You can guarantee that. And it is faithful and true. He is the beginning and the end. He will give all those who are spiritually thirsty everything that they need in the Messiah. He that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my son. Right? Again, like, this is, at this point, it's overcoming, not just like overcoming the Great Tribulation or overcoming with the first fruits. This is the first and the second resurrection. At this point in Revelation 21, the people who made the first cut, they've already gotten what they've been promised, and they've gotten all their things. But also, God is not a respecter of persons to some degree. If you chose him, you have access to him. So even that second cut, they're still going to heaven. They're still going to the eternity. They still get access to the Father. So when he says, he that overcometh shall inherit all things, he is saying, first resurrection, second resurrection, if your name's in the book of life, you inherit me. You inherit eternity. Okay, so that is to all who choose life. He that overcometh. The person that overcometh. This is actually non-gendered. It looks gendered in the text. It's a neuter. In the Greek, it's neuter. It's they who overcome. He, she, it who overcomes. Actually, it's a singular neuter. He, she, it who overcomes will be my son, my daughter, my child. Okay, so that's it's not gendered. It's not actually masculine. In the text it is, but in the manuscripts it's not. So he said to me, it is done. He said, they that overcome shall inherit all things. But those that are fearful and unbelieving and abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. You cannot do satanic things and say that you follow Christ. And this is why I'm always trying to say your character has got to match your calling. If you claim Christ, you need to act like Christ, because it is for those who hear and do the word. And again, these are all things that are commandment breaking. If God is truth, you can't be a liar. Now, again, you might think you're telling the truth to the best of your understanding, and then you learn more later. and you're like, oh my God, I accidentally lied. I thought I was telling the truth. This is part of progressive unfolding and learning. Worry not, you're not held accountable for that. A lie is when you know the truth and you withhold it, you don't tell it, you omit it, you twist it. Like, in order for it to be a true on lie, it has to have a deceptive component in it. So a lot of the times the people who are out here really believing in a rapture, they are not liars. They are deceived and they are perpetuating deception, but they're not lying to you. They really believe in the rapture. They really believe the lie. So they've been lied to. They're not held accountable. Somebody else is held accountable by God. But also at some point, the truth is here. And so, you got to come out of the lie at some point. Now, again, there are some people who are meant to have the slumber on them. So we don't judge God's business, okay? We don't know who is, we don't know. So all we do is plant the seed. We do not berate. We do not shove our beliefs down people's throats. We are grateful. We say, here, there by the grace of God go I. I will speak what I know to the best of my ability to the people who want to hear it. And that's the best we can do, okay? Now, when he's saying that we have the second death, right? Shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone. Now remember, this lake is referencing being turned to ashes from within. We know that because that is Satan's sentence. We see that in Ezekiel. So when we hear that Satan's thrown in the lake, we know, like, this is not an everlasting hell fire pit. God is a consuming fire. He is the lake that consumes. Don't think of it like fire in our day and age, because that has no bearing on a transfigured body. How do you know? Daniel. Okay, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, and the fourth man in the fire, their clothes did not smell like smoke. There was nothing singed on their body, even though the furnace was turned up 7 times hotter. Okay, because the hell, the lake, the fire, the brimstone is not an actual fire and brimstone, just like the sword of the Lord is not like an actual sword. It's the truth of God coming out of the mouth. The fire, the smoke, the brimstone is the wrath of God, where he turns people to ashes from within and annihilates them on the spot, which is what's going to happen. That's the second death. The second death is the death of the soul, so that you are no longer an entity. Only God can create or destroy matter safely. We can't do it. And you know that. That is a fundamental theory, fundamental rule of science. Matter cannot be created nor destroyed by us. It can, in fact, be created and destroyed by the creator who spoke it into existence. Because he is the great creator. He's also the great eraser. He's like a pencil. He writes and he wipes out if he needs to. And this second death is a blotting out of your very existence, your very essence, your soul, your spiritual, everything that makes up a person. And again, anybody who's doing satanic things, they're not making the cut, because they don't want to make the cut, because they had a millennium to try to be better and they chose not to. They had a millennium to not do things that are satanic and wicked and to learn the way of the Lamb, and they didn't want to do it. Well, then I'm sorry, but there's no place for you in eternity, but there is a place for you in annihilation. Okay? So this is God himself declaring this is done. You cannot argue with the Father himself declaring, when I am here, it is done. And guess what? He's not here yet. He's not here. We're not in this yet. We're not in this season. We're in the precursor to the Great Tribulation. We got a lot of things to go through. We are close, though, to the end, for sure. And there came unto me, this is John speaking, one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials, full of the 7 last plagues, and talked with me, saying, Come hither, I will show thee the bride, the Lamb's wife. Right, so this angel is like a pretty key player in Revelation. He's a pretty high up there. It's quite an honor to be able to handle God's wrath, right? You have God's wrath in jars. You have to be a high up there angel that God very, very deeply trusts to met this out in his stead. It's not a small thing, this angel, not a small thing, which is why he can guide John around in this vision, in this understanding, in this new world. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God. Okay, now, guys, this in the spirit travels very quick when you are in your spiritual body. Travel very quick, very fast. That's what's going to happen in 1 Thessalonians 4:16 and 17. When Christ returns and we're all, those on earth, turned into spiritual bodies, it's going to be very quick to meet him where he's at. It's not going to be hard. Same with John. Taken quickly in the spirit. The spirit does not have the same restrictions of travel that the flesh body does. So, we see the great city, holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God, which again, John already told us was happening in Revelation 21:2. We already knew that was coming. And we see this city having the glory of God, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal, right? The light coming out of this city is bright and pure, beyond any kind of natural light we've ever seen. The sun times 1,000,000 and more pure. Our flesh eyes could not handle it. Our spiritual eyes can. Okay, and so this city has a wall, great and high, and it has 12 gates, and the gates have 12 angels, and the names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Okay, so this should bring to mind what we saw in Numbers 2. Okay, we have a city that has, it's a walled, fortified city, and you're going to hear it's like a cube. So I'm guessing we have 3 gates on each side because we have 12 gates. So there is protection because this is a holy place, even in the eternity. It's walled, it's gated, it's protected. Okay? It's exactly like the same as Numbers 2 because our Father is orderly. He does not change. When he told the Israelites in the 12 tribes how to encamp themselves, 3 on this side, 3 on this side, 3 on this side. We've talked about this in this study, but you can go check it out for yourself. It's the same thing. The Father's doing the same thing with this city. The 12 tribes of Israel are his firstborn children. He holds a very special place for them. That does not mean that he doesn't hold special places for all of his children. But those who were loyal to him get different rewards. And the names of the 12 tribes are written on the walls and the gates of this city. Why? Because they are the foundation on which the city is built. They are people who were loyal to God from the beginning through to forever. That kind of loyalty gets rewarded. Father is fair. And so, the glory of the Lord lights the city up, but even still, it's the tabernacle of the Lord dwelling with man. So it has certain things about it that we've already seen in the Old Testament. We've seen it with Solomon's temple. We've seen it with the tabernacle in the Old Testament. We saw it with the rebuilding of the new temple. Okay, we do see it. There is an order to all things. So there are 12 gates and there are 12 angels. Those angels are gatekeepers. Okay, there are gates that are being kept in the eternity. There are visiting hours for some people. This is why you want to make the first cut. First cut does not have visiting hours. They can come and go as they please. Second cut has visiting hours. They can still come, though. Okay, because remember, this is a king. Our Father is a king on a throne in his dominion. So the full Godhead is there. And some people have more access and some have less, but everybody has access. I say this all the time. You would rather be in the trailer park of heaven than in a mansion in hell. And so, remember, it is the same type of a layout as Numbers 2. So we have on the east, we have 3 gates. So we have the east wall, 1, 2, 3 gates. Now, if you go to Numbers 2, you will be able to probably figure out which tribes those are. God is not subtle. On the north 3 gates. North gate, 1, 2, 3. On the south 3 gates, 1, 2, 3. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. Like I said, the foundation of the city is built on the people who were loyal to him. The 12 tribes, that's to say the 12 patriarchs, are on the gates and the walls. The 12 apostles are in the 12 foundations, the pillars of this city. When people ask me, why do I think the 24 elders are the 12 patriarchs and the 12 apostles? It is because of Revelation 21. It seems very clear to me. These are high honors. Well, we're still learning about these people even 2,000 and 4,000 years later. They suffered more than we ever will. And so, those 12 apostles, because we know how God operates, I can almost guarantee came from those 12 tribes. Paul himself tells us he was a Benjaminite. Every single apostle, disciple originally, was from the place where all the tribes existed. So there's no way that they were not of the 12 tribes, because those are where God's chosen people are always from. That's the lineage from Adam. The 12 tribes come from Adam. To go through Christ, go beyond Christ even. Okay, so again, please, our Father does things methodically. He is the same then, now, and always. So the new city has the same characteristics as the old layouts, because he does things sort of with continuity. Okay. And so you can go to Numbers 2 and you can figure out what tribes are where. To some degree. There is a weird thing that's happened in all of it, which is some tribes got usurped into others, some apostles did things, right? So technically, and you'll see this paralleled, we had an original 12 patriarchs and an original 12 apostles. But one of them was a betrayer. In the case of the 12 patriarchs, Dan. In the case of the 12 apostles, Judas. So what did we do? We replaced one. Judas gets replaced with Matthias. Dan sort of gets replaced with like Ephraim and Manasseh. And Joseph. And then we add Paul. So even though we have an original 12, we end up having like a weird 13, even 14. So out of that, don't ask me who's getting what. Because I couldn't, again, here are places for questions that are going to be found out eventually. Hey, God, out of the 14 patriarchs, which one's it going to be? Who's the 2 that aren't getting it? Out of the 14 apostles, who's not getting it? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if God is honoring the original. I don't know. I cannot say. I could not answer you that. So that is something I think of. But again, It's not terribly important. It's just something I think about. And so we see that this angel, he that talked with me, the angel that had the vials, is also able to measure the city. He had a golden reed to measure the city, and the gates thereof, and the wall thereof. Now remember, we have the land that is the city, the area that is you're going to see it's a cube, that is the gates of the city, the walls rather of the city, and the gates of the city. So everything's got measurements because God is very precise. And the city lieth foursquare. It's a cube essentially. And the length is as large as the breadth, right? They match. The length and the width, they match. If you remember back to geometry, your square is going to have your geometric figures, your square is going to match length and width. That's what makes it a square and not a rectangle. Angles are perfect in a perfect square, right? That's what this city is. It's a perfect square. And he measured the city with the reed 12,000 furlongs. The length and the breadth and the height of it are equal. This is a perfect cube, okay? Length times width times height is a perfect cube. And how long is 12,000 furlongs? About 1,500 miles. So this city runs a 1,500 mile space, area, length times width times height. Okay, so this is a perfect geometric square. The perfect measurement of this city and this temple and this tabernacle is this cube. Okay, and he measured the wall thereof, and 144 cubits, according to the measure of a man, that is, of the angel. Right, and again, the walls are going to fit perfectly in this cube. 144 cubits, 144 cubits, 12 times 12 is 144, right? And we always know that 12 is governmental perfection. And the building of the wall of it was of jasper, and the city was pure gold, like unto clear glass. And the foundations of the wall of the city were garnished with all manner of precious stones. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, the third a chalcedony, the fourth an emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the sixth sardius, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth a topaz, the 10th a chrysoprasus, the 11th a jacinth, the 12th an amethyst. Guys, when you hear people talking about how God doesn't like crystals, you don't realize that God designs things with gemstones. The breastplate of the priests, go check it out. It has the exact same configuration. They wore a breastplate of 12 stones, each of which represented the 12 tribes. The gate in the city does the same thing. Okay, the walls in the city have the same things. God likes beautiful things. And so now again, you don't want to get very new agey with it. But God likes gemstones. They carry certain properties. Quartz crystal has healing properties. It has remembering properties. Every single technology that we have has quartz in it. Your TV, your computer has quartz technology in it. Okay, so when people try to tell you that stones are new agey, then tell them what's going on in Revelation 21, because what's going on in Leviticus and Numbers with the breastplates of the priests. Right? God created these things because he likes them for his pleasure. They are beautiful stones that are the foundation of the wall of the city, garnished with precious stones. It is bright. It is pure. It is clear. It is rainbow. Every color of the rainbow here, okay? We have green. We have blue. We have sapphire is blue. Emerald is green. We have topaz, can be yellow, can be blue. We have of amethyst, which is purple. I mean, we have every color of the rainbow here. Pretty sure chrysolite is red. Jasper can be red, green, or I think even black, right? So we see that God likes color, he likes purity, he likes brightness. Like, please know your Father's character. Royalty in this life comes from the understanding of royalty in the kingdom of God. So yes, there are very many pretty things in God's temple. Now again, I want you to be aware, right now, all the Father is describing to us are the walls. These are the walls of the temple. Okay, this is what you see when you walk up to the temple. This is the gates. This is the outside of the temple. He's not even telling us about the things in the temple right now. He's telling us about everything outside of the temple. And the 12 gates were 12 pearls, right? These are huge pearly gates. People talk about the pearly gates all the time. Well, so too does Revelation 21. The 12 gates, 21:21 talks about it. The 12 gates are 12 pearls. Each several gate was of one pearl, and the street of the city was pure gold, as it were transparent glass. Right? This, follow the yellow brick road here. Okay, guys, this whole thing is a perfect royal city. It is pure, it is shining, it is bright, it is regal, and I saw no temple therein. For the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. There is no language to describe what it is for God to be the temple, right? Because again, the tabernacle is where God dwells. So yeah, of course, God is his own temple. We just could never handle it. The reason why, if this is the description of the gates and the walls of the city, there's no language that exists to describe the temple that is God and Jesus. We don't have the language for it. We're not going to get a description of it. This, suffice it to know that if the gates and the walls are beautiful, what is in the temple is so much more precious. The inner sanctum that God and Jesus are is just beyond our understanding. We cannot comprehend. And try to figure this one out too, right? And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it, for the glory of the Lamb of God did lighten it, for the glory of God did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. This is why when people see or have depictions of Christ or of God, he's always shiny. It's called Shekinah glory. It's the bright and shining aura of God and of Jesus. It is rainbow. It is illuminating. It is bright. It is, people describe it as bronze, as amber. They describe it as like, it's just a shining light that we cannot fathom. Very bright. And here we go. You ready? Also, by the way, that existed the first 3 days of Genesis. Genesis day 1, Genesis day 2, Genesis day 3. There was no light. There was no sun, there was no moon, there was no stars. So this book wraps up the way that it begins. Like the first 3 days of creation, God is the light thereof. And that will come full circle. God is always the light. When he says, I am the way, the truth, the light, the glory, life, I am all of these things, he is not kidding. We can't fathom it. God is his own light source. God is the source of all the things that we like. Do you love how the sun feels on your face? Times it by 1,000,000. That's what it is to be in the presence of the Father. Do you love feeling the love that you have for your son or your daughter or your spouse? Times it by 1,000,000, and that's what it is to be in the presence of the Father. There's no words for that. We don't have words for that. Now, the nations. See now, guys, we are in Revelation 21. We are in the new heaven. We're in the new earth. Why are there nations? Because the word is ethnos in the Greek, the ethnic people who have their own communities, their own places. There's a walled city that houses the Lord because we're all going to live on this earth and we're all going to have our own places that we are established. So the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it, and the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. We have kings and queens of other nations that are in the eternity, so that they can bring offering of love to the Father. Go study what kingdoms look like. Okay? Go study what kingdoms look like. You have the king, and then you have all the houses around it that have their own hierarchies. There are kings and queens of the earth, kings and queens of other nations who are saved. The nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it. They're welcome. Come on in. But also, they live elsewhere. But also, they are kings and queens in their own rights in other places. But also, they have their own dominions over which they have charge. And they will bring their glory and honor into it. They will make the sacrifices of love and glory and honor to the Father because they just want to be close to Him. And the gates of this city where our Father will live, where the Lamb will live, where those who are married to them will live. The gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. You don't have the old rules where the gates were open during the day and then they were shut at night. Now, we don't have walled cities in the United States, but it's how it used to be. That's why they say, like, a camel can't go through the eye of the needle. The needle gate was the small gate that they let people through at nighttime. Most walls have multiple gates. A big gate for commerce, and then like tiny gates so people can go in at nighttime or out, but can't bring a whole bunch of luggage or travel or caravan. You wanted to get to the city before the gates closed. That was a part of the protection. That's not going to happen now. That's not going to happen in the new city. That's not going to happen in the new Jerusalem. It's not going to happen in the house of the Father. Everybody can come in at any time they want because there's no night. Isaiah 60 talks about this. Isaiah 60, 11, and 12. Because again, we have a lot of Old Testament references to what will come. And again, repeated, and they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it. Times 2 for emphasis, making the same point. Okay, the nations will bring their glory and honor. They shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it. There are many nations in the eternity. Because we have nations now. And God likes order to His arrangement. He likes things to be in order. We serve an orderly God. Everybody will know their ranking. Everybody will be pleased with it. Everybody will have earned it and deserved it. So yes, there are nations, there are ethnicities in the eternity, and they are very good and have a lot of glory and honor to bring as offerings for the love of the Father. And there shall in no wise enter into it anything that defileth, neither whatsoever worketh abomination or maketh a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. Why? Why? Oh, easy. There's no evil that exists. Nothing. They don't need to close the gates because nothing that is evil can possibly breach it because there's nothing evil there. It's completely different than what we live now. We have nothing to protect against. There's no abomination. There's no Satan. There's no hell. There's no nothing that is evil or wicked plotting against our Father. You have to be written in the Lamb's Book of Life to come into this third heaven and earth age. And again, they collapse. Heaven is wherever our Father is, and he's here on earth. Okay, the New Jerusalem, the city with the great walls and the gates, that he is the temple and the tabernacle of, he lives on earth. Which means that earth is the place to be. In the entire cosmos, earth is the place to be. Because remember, he dwells there, means this is where you can find him. If anybody in the entire universe wants to find God, come to earth, come to Jerusalem. Heaven is where God is, and God will be on earth. So therefore, heaven and earth are together. They are collapsed. Third heaven and third earth are the same thing. That's all there is. There is a whole universe that Father created that we can explore, but we have our home base, this earth. It'll be way better than this earth is. Okay, so hopefully that is a very exciting thing. Now, again, there's a lot that isn't talked about in Revelation 21. Obviously, God's going to be living in Jerusalem. Where's everybody else living? There's no sea. So there's a lot more land on this earth. Right now, 8 billion people live on this earth pretty comfortably, and 70% of it is filled with water. Okay? 70%. We're living on 30%. 8 billion people living on 30%. So there is room aplenty for all the people to be living. Now, again, our spiritual bodies are not subject to things like dimensions. So is it possible, and I think probable, honestly, that there are people who are not living on Earth? They're living on Mars. They're living on Jupiter. They're living on Saturn. They're living in the next galaxy over. They're living in Andromeda. Yeah, I do. I do think that. The Bible doesn't say it though, right? And this is why it's fun to speculate, but we don't know. But God does not make things without a purpose. He does not make things to be uninhabited. So right now, the way this is played out is very linear. Not so when there's no time and there's no conflict. There's a perfect utopia, which we can't even fathom because we're used to every utopia is a dystopia. If you have someone who's in charge, they're secretly in charge at the expense of everybody else. Because we have depravity, we have bad leadership, we have Satan. But nothing that defiles or works abomination or makes a lie can be there. So we will have a perfect system, a perfectly calibrated, beautiful system. And we'll hear a little bit more about that in Revelation 22. But I will tell you, there is so much, for every one little bit of information we do find out, we just hear about heaven and earth coming together in this New Jerusalem. And it sounds awesome. We don't hear about anything else. We have no idea how this world is getting rejuvenated. We have no idea all the things. We don't, there's so much we don't know in these chapters. We will find out when we get there, when we live through it. So fun, exciting, great promises. Also, for every one thing we find out about the eternity, there's a million things we have no idea of. And we don't need to know that until we get there, right? So just be mindful of the things we are told. And you can speculate within reason on what you don't know, and that's okay. But hopefully this is helpful. We are almost at the end of Revelation. Got one more chapter left, Revelation 22. And again, John starts to get taken back to his time. So it's not a full vision. And he's like getting the first half of Revelation 22 is a vision. And then he's coming back and he's not in the vision anymore. Jesus is reminding him of things for the present day at that time, our past, right? So again, Revelation as a book plays with time in a really tricky way for a lot of people. I hope it's not tricky for you. I hope I've been doing a great job of bringing it to you. And I will see you guys on our next and last video for this lecture series.